Welcome to the Hello Sunday podcast with me, Nikki Hayden. This is the podcast that discusses everything self-development, spirituality and sobriety. And it wouldn't be me without a little sprinkling of humour. Whether you are just starting out on your journey of self-development or have been exploring these topics for years, are completely alcohol-free or just curious about living a more sober lifestyle, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll be exploring topics in both solo episodes and with some amazing guest experts. So if you like what you hear, then please subscribe, rate and review. So with that said, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Hello Sunday. I've just recorded that intro 3 times, guys, because the first one, I tripped over my words, and then the second 2 sounded a bit creepy. I'm not going to lie. I'm normally a bit of a one-hit wonder with these things. I don't tend to overthink it, but it wasn't the best. So let's hope that one sounds okay, because I'm not doing it again. Also, I am caveating this with episodes moving forwards are probably going to be subject to a little furry friend next to me who is, to be honest, a little dream when he settles. He does settle and chill, and he's not really bothered by what I'm doing. So hopefully he won't interrupt us. But if he does, then you know that that's what's going on, and we've got him in the background right next to me, as he always is, bless his little heart. So how are we all? How have the first, is it 2 weeks? Almost 2 weeks, not quite 2 weeks of the year been for you? I hope that they've been good. I hope that they have given you everything that you needed to start the year with a bang and to get back into things. I think, like I said to you last week, I've not massively been, I wouldn't say I've not been on my A game. I've definitely lent into the fact that it's winter. We're not meant to bloom all year round. It was really funny, actually. We were watching a Netflix documentary last night. I think it's called something like The Man Who Wants to Live Forever, or The Man Who Doesn't Want to Die, or something like that. And it's this guy his name's Brian Johnson, and he's a US tech billionaire. He founded and sold to PayPal a payments company called Braintree. And he is going through a process of biohacking to the absolute extreme, and basically creating the perfect human body in terms of fat and muscle, immune system, and trying to reverse the aging process. Super interesting, but also super, restrictive. And I was saying to my husband, it's really funny because actually just a little bit later than this last year in 2024, we were not doing the same. Don't get me wrong, we were absolutely not doing the same. But I was literally tracking my business metrics. I was tracking my fitness metrics. I looked back in my diary the other day just to see kind of a bit of a reflection on the year. And there was 6 weeks. We did 6-week blocks, and then we'd have what was called a down weekend where we could eat higher calories. So for 6 weeks, we were literally maintaining I think mine was 1,500 calories a day. And at the time it felt fine. It didn't feel that restrictive. And there's actually quite a lot of freedom in structure and in planning stuff in advance. But I think now I've kind of swung the other way, the pendulum, and I need to get back into more fitness and probably a bit more structure. But actually the learnings for me from last year were, I kind of alluded to this last week, but a bit around sort of balance, and I guess generally just not being as caught up in being so restrictive and tracking everything, and being a bit more, I guess I was going to say intuitive there. It's not really intuitive at the moment because I'm having to really change my routine due to circumstances and puppy and all that sort of stuff. But I guess there's just some balance to be found there. And yeah, I love, and I find it so interesting, the way that you can have, you're a multifaceted personality. And, this time last year, I wasn't eating any meat at all. Not even chicken. And now I'm eating chicken. I eat red meat from time to time. And the reason for me not eating that now is more to do with health reasons than it is anything else. So you really can be, 100 different people and have many sides to your personality. And you really shouldn't ever be apologetic for that. Like, if you don't want to meet one day and you do the next, you don't need to put a label on it. If you, I don't know, decide that you not change your sexuality, but you're open to meeting people of the same sex when you've identified as heterosexual, or maybe one day you're working in a high-flying corporate career like my friend Katie, and then she retrained as a yoga teacher and now that's what she does as her career, and it's a totally different lifestyle. She went completely sober. I think she's veggie anyway. So let's just say that I've really been exploring that and feeling that. I mean, not the sexuality side, but certainly, being less restrictive and less, I guess, just less putting myself in a box and having those expectations and being allowed to chop and change and experience different sides of life. But anyway, that wasn't what this episode was going to be about. I just found that really interesting. So what's been happening? Not a huge amount this week, to be honest. Back into the swing of work. Had a bit more of a routine with Puppy. He's doing really well. We're seeing developments in training. I promise this isn't going to turn into another Puppy episode, because I'm sure some of you love hearing about it. I'm sure for others of you, it's really not your thing. But yeah, that is what's going on with me at the moment. So from time to time, it is going to come up. And then as you listen to this at the moment, we will be preparing to go for a few days to Paris for my birthday. So I'm turning 40 on Wednesday. So if you're listening to this on the Sunday that it's released, on Sunday, what date will it be? Gosh, I really should have brought my my calendar with me. The 12th? Yeah, 12th. If you're listening to this on Sunday the 12th of January, I'm 40 on Wednesday the 15th. So it's a really exciting time. And actually, I was looking at doing like 40 things that I've learned, or 30 things that I learned in my 30s, or 40 things that I'm taking through to my 40s. But to be honest, I think all of these episodes are my musings and life learnings, and you don't need to hear 30 of them rattled off. So I decided to can that idea. But yeah, we're going to Paris for a couple of days. We are starting off in Manchester, and someone that my husband knows has kindly paid for us to have a very swanky meal in Ivy Asia on Monday. And then we fly on Tuesday just for a couple of nights, just to explore Paris, which is so exciting. One of my absolute favourite things to do is go on city breaks. I always come back feeling like I've had like a full holiday. And actually, I'm going to do an episode on this, but there is something in neuroscience that basically says when you are, and I'll find out the actual name of it, but when you're exploring new things and changing up your routine, time feels elongated because you're having to make like new brain connections and, new restaurants, even if you just drive a new way to work or go on a different walk on your lunch break. It's when you are consistently doing the same things and have the same routine that time feels like it is kind of whizzing by, because your brain's it's almost on autopilot. But anyway, long story short, that's what we're doing. So I'll fill you in next week on how that went, and yeah, give you my highlights. But if anyone's got any Paris tips and you are listening to this on Sunday, let me know, because there'll still be time to let us know, or Monday actually. If you're listening to this in the future, then listen to the next episode and I'll let you know how it went. Anyway, today I wanted to chat about something that is basically my bread and butter, that I am absolutely obsessed with, and I didn't really understand why until, I guess, maybe last year. And I've sort of touched on this in other episodes, but I just think it's so poignant at this time of year. And that is kind of not just decluttering, but weeding of your mental environment, your physical environment, your digital environment, basically just doing a massive big clear out of your life. And that isn't just to say physical stuff, that is mental, thoughts, limiting beliefs. It's physical, so your phone, your laptop, anything that you use day to day, your social media. And actually, I think not feeling super motivated to set 2025 goals this year. And it's not that I don't feel motivated. It's actually that some of the goals can only really happen if we get some of the other stuff in place with the pup. So obviously leaving him alone at the moment is a big thing. And until we can really nail that, I can't really go to the gym as often as I used to, just because my husband doesn't work from home. So it's, those sorts of things. It's not that I don't want to get back into full fitness. It's only been a few weeks, so, it's not like I've lost it, but I am motivated. It's just that I'm having kind of blockers for one reason or another. And actually, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, I've not done any big clearing out for a while. And that week in between Christmas and New Year is normally the time that I really take time to do that. And, I come into the new year feeling completely clutter-free, mentally, physically, emotionally, all that stuff. And I think because there was such heavy emotional stuff going on at the end of last year, it was really difficult to do that because, you can't just turn your emotions and your feelings off and kind of check out. So I thought, right, I'm going to start small, and I started with my desk drawer, so all the old stuff that I didn't need, maybe from the year before last. I cleared out the drawers that have things like my underwear and nightwear and loungewear in. Got rid of some of the stuff that maybe I just don't wear anymore. Sent some of it to charity, did my wardrobe, and already I was starting to feel a lot lighter. And actually then when I translated that over and started looking at things like desktop icons on my laptop, my work emails, my personal emails, I'm pretty good at keeping on top of this stuff throughout the year, but the last few months things had just piled up. I'm not going to lie, it's been really busy. And then I was thinking, I need to kind of practice what I preach, in essence. And what are the mental and I guess like the limiting beliefs and the mental stuff that I need to weed out? Because it's all very well decluttering physically and digitally, and we've done loads of episodes about this before. For those of you that are regular listeners to the show, or maybe you know me personally, you won't have been able to get away without hearing me talk about Simprove. Simprove is a scientifically backed, water-based probiotic drink. You drink it daily, and it has been scientifically proven to help with things like bloating, IBS symptoms, pain. It was actually a dietitian friend of mine that introduced it to me last year, and I honestly wouldn't be without it now. It's helped with my energy, with my bloating, it's helped with my immune system, and also things like my skin. The list is honestly endless. Now, I have got a code for you. So if you'd like to try Simprove, you can get 50%, that's a massive 50% off your first 3-month subscription by going on to simprove.com and putting in the code Nikki50. That's NIKKI 50, or clicking the link in the show notes. But if you're still going into a new year with the mental baggage, limiting beliefs, everything in your mental garden, if you like, that is weeds and that are not serving you, then the physical decluttering is only going to go so far. It's maybe going to make you feel a percent point better, but you're not actually going to get any further, because if you are carrying around limiting beliefs and you are carrying around mental clutter and emotional clutter that you can get rid of, I'm not saying ignore your feelings on current situations, but if there's stuff that's, happened in the past, or there's beliefs that you hold about yourself that deep down aren't true, or other people have told you a million times aren't true, and you're still holding on to them for whatever reason, then those are the things that I'm talking about letting go of now. Because going into a new year and going into a new period of your life or a new chapter is a fresh start. It's a clean slate, and it's an opportunity to really become somebody and level up. And you can't do that if you're still clinging on to the old version of yourself. So I'll give you an example. At the end of last year, I was obviously mentally in quite a difficult place. I was surviving, not thriving. I was putting myself into a box to say, well, you can't do this now, oh, you've got a dog, that means that you have no morning routine anymore because he needs all of your time and attention in the morning. Therefore, you can't become this person that you want to be. Or I was saying things like, I guess you look at situations when things happen to you or to people that you love, and it can be really difficult to stay positive, and you can fall into a real negative mindset of the world shit, life shit, bad things happen. And I'm not going to lie, that was a place that I'd got to in my mind, because especially with the stuff that was happening with my sister-in-law, and if you're not up to speed, go back and listen to last week's episode on Life Update. But it just felt so unfair. And rather than seeing the positives in it, it was easy to get drawn into the why her and why our family, and this isn't fair. And so I'd done all this, decluttering, if you like. But actually, I realised that the reason why I was struggling to set goals, yes, was partly due to circumstance, but actually it was also partly due to the fact that I was still holding on to all this negative mental shit that it wasn't serving me. You can cling on to it for as long as you want, but it's not serving me. So I sat down and I wrote down a big list of all the things that I felt were going on in my mind, were things that maybe I was holding on to, maybe beliefs, maybe, business was tough last year. So beliefs about my capability in that area, beliefs about life being hard and unfair, and in essence, everything that I felt was holding me back or was kind of negative that I was taking into the next year. And I did that limiting beliefs exercise that I've talked about in previous episodes, where you write down all of the contrary evidence, and it's the tabletop exercise. I'll link the episode that I did on it. But basically what you do is you write a belief down. So let's say that is that life's not fair and bad things happen, or bad things always happen. It wasn't as broad as that, I'll be honest, but let's just use that for argument's sake. And what you then do is look at, okay, so yeah, sometimes life is unfair, but what evidence have we got to the contrary? So, all of the amazing stuff that's happened to my family in the last few years, all of the reasons that we had to be positive actually about the outcome of what my sister-in-law was going through. It could have been a different prognosis. And I wrote down all of the evidence, all of the contrary beliefs and contrary, not beliefs, sorry, but the contrary evidence in essence around that. And I did that for every single one of them. And sometimes you do get to a point with those statements or with those beliefs where it maybe doesn't entirely change your mind on it. If there's quite a few in there as well, we're not asking you to, turn on a sixpence in the space of 24 hours and do a complete 180 in your mindset. But even if it just elevates that mindset like 10, 15, 20%, that is a better place to be going into the new year or a new period of your life with. And it did make a difference. Like, it made me feel so much better. And, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I had to do it about the dog as well, because that had been a real difficult life change for us. And some of the, I don't even want to say behavioural issues, because they're not issues. They're, his behavioural challenges coming from wherever he came from, God knows, have presented us with difficulties that we didn't realise would be there. They're things that we hadn't accommodated for, hadn't foreseen. And so I had to write a real list around, what are the positives and all of the good things around having him in our family. And there was loads, absolutely loads. Don't get me wrong, it is hard, and there are times when we really struggle, especially if one of us has been with him on our own and working, and things have happened. But on the whole, he's incredible. He's sat next to me right now like a little furry croissant all rolled up. And it's like when you've got kids, isn't it? And they're asleep, you look at them and think angels, and then they wake up and do something awful. But yeah, and that really helped to change my mindset, because there's always going to be stuff that comes up, and there's always going to be stuff that can hold you back. And you might have to do this time and time again throughout the year. But if you're going into a new chapter or a new year holding on to stuff, you're not starting on the best footing. And setting goals, especially when you're carrying around negative beliefs, you can set the goal, but are you realistically going to think that you can hit it? And I realised that actually that was more of my problem than the circumstance. The circumstance wasn't going to change. It was how I was viewing it and how I was looking at it that needed to change, because my sister-in-law has health concerns are going to be going on for, many months to come yet. The dog is going to take months and months to train and get into the place that we want him to be, and for his sake as much as ours. And business, the market is still really difficult in the UK. So, what can I do? And actually, more importantly, how can I reframe that in my mind? And how can I reframe how I view myself and those situations to make it possible for me to get excited about them again, and to be able to want to set those goals, and more importantly, to be able to get that new energy and, feel the excitement again. I think I've said before, my husband and I have got a phrase that we say, excited for life. And it basically means exactly that. Like, you are just excited for the future. And I hadn't felt like that for a while. I'll be really honest. I really didn't feel that excitement for life. And once I'd done this exercise and reframe things, it really, really brought that excitement for life back. Yes, there's going to be hurdles and struggles and things that we won't have seen. And there's going to be things that are still prevalent now that we're going to have to work around. But you can always find that little bit of excitement for life, and you can always reframe things in a more positive light. So it may sound like it's a really simple thing to do, but actually, really weeding that mental garden is even more important than decluttering your physical space or your digital space. Yes, that helps to create the space for manifesting, but if you haven't got that space mentally, no amount of decluttering, you could live in an empty room, and if your mind is absolutely full of negative, self-limiting beliefs and negative views of the world, it doesn't matter, does it? At the end of the day, that is the stuff that counts. So I just wanted to share that this week, because I thought, I've actually gone through a process recently of pulling myself back from quite a negative place, and it isn't the easiest thing to do, but it is entirely possible. Regardless of circumstances, there's always something that you can look forward to and feel positive about and feel grateful for. And looking at your limiting beliefs and reframing how you look at things is probably one of the most important things that you can do for yourself, especially this time of year where we've got a clean slate, we've got a whole 12 months of opportunity and beyond. So if you've been struggling, or the winter months are getting to you, you just don't feel like it's something that you're really ready to do in terms of the goal setting, or maybe you've set goals and you just don't feel like they're doable, or you don't know where to start, have a think about what it is that's holding you back. And it might be physical energy. It might be that you're just still in that sluggish stage of, winter, and that's fine. As I've said 100 times before, nature doesn't bloom all year round, and neither should we. We have ebbs and flows. This is a fallow period. Look outside. There is fuck all growing right now. So don't feel bad about that. But if it is that you've got the energy, you're just struggling to find, the drive and the mental motivation, then maybe look at some of this stuff, because it definitely helped me. And I'm nothing special, no anomaly. This works for everyone. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. As always, let me know if there's anything you want me to cover off in the coming weeks. I've got a ton of ideas, but I really want to be guided by you. And please do share this episode, previous episodes, tag me, tag the podcast. And yeah, it's just so good to be back. I almost nearly missed this episode this week because life has just been so busy, and my husband just popped to get his haircut, and I thought, whilst Puppy's quiet, let's record, because it brings me joy, and I know from the messages that I've had this week, it brings you guys joy as well. So thank you for listening, and I will see you again next Sunday. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at HelloSundayPod, or you can email us on hellosundaypod@outlook.com. Have a great week.